Hey Live Active community, it's Dr. Hasib Ahmed here with Live Active Primary Care. Today we're going to be talking about chronic disease. This is video number 5 of 7. This is part of all the 7 series, the 7 ways to improve healthcare outcomes. We're going to define what chronic disease means, what that all entails. We're going to share some statistics about how prevalent chronic disease is, and then finally show you a game plan of how chronic disease should be addressed in a systematic way so that, one, we don't have to spend so much money and it improves our overall healthcare outcomes and longevity. So let's get started. Chronic disease is defined as a condition that lasts 1 year or more and requires ongoing medical attention or limits our activities of daily living, or it does both. This is the CDC definition. Some examples of chronic disease include heart disease, diabetes, strokes, any type of cancer, any type of chronic lung disease like asthma or COPD, chronic kidney disease, generalized anxiety disorder, obesity. There's so many chronic diseases out there, but it entails having a conversation with your primary care physician, identifying the risk factors of even developing one if you don't have one at this time. So the whole idea is improving our quality of life, not quantity, right? And so that's why having a primary care physician is so important, so that you can identify risk factors if you don't have any chronic disease and prevent it in the first place, or if you have a chronic disease, then primary care is the place where majority of your chronic illnesses can be managed. You don't need a specialist all the time. So now let me share some statistics with you about how prevalent chronic disease is. So here are 3 important points. 6 in 10 adults in the United States has a single chronic disease. That's a lot of people. 4 in 10 adults have 2 or more. That means 2 or more, they have hypertension, high cholesterol, asthma, COPD, and 90% of the nation's $4.1 trillion in annual healthcare expenditures are for chronic disease management. That's mind-boggling. That's crazy. It shouldn't be that expensive. The problem is we're so reactive in this country that we, because of cost barriers, the fear of cost, the unknown, the lack of transparency, we don't go and have an ongoing relationship with our primary care physicians. Instead, many Americans go to urgent cares and ERs, and that is not the place to get chronic disease management or to identify a chronic disease. So many times I've admitted patients to the hospital and diagnosed them with diabetes or diagnosed them with heart disease or chronic kidney disease. They had no idea that they had chronic kidney disease from long-standing uncontrolled high blood pressure. So these are common scenarios that happen, and that leads to downstream costs and more illness, right? So if you have uncontrolled high blood pressure, that leads to kidney stress, but it can also lead to heart disease because all of our organs are so interconnected and interrelated. It's really interesting. And so that's why it's so important to have a good primary care team at your side, managing your chronic diseases, and if you don't have a chronic disease, preventing it, so that you can not only save on costs, but also improve longevity and improve your health outcomes. So how do we do that? Let's talk about that next. A kind of a busy slide, but it kind of talks about everything. This is the strategy. This is what should be happening when we talk about chronic disease management. That initial visit should be a 60-minute visit because, again, like in all the previous videos, each one of us has a life story, and we need to learn your story. We need to figure out who your support system is, what kind of lifestyle do you live, what job do you have, what kind of healthy interventions actually make sense in your life, right? Rather than just saying blanket statements like, oh, you need to exercise, 30 to 60 minutes a day. You need to eat healthy. Well, those are all blanket statements. They don't make sense. And patients won't follow through because it's very difficult in their life. So we have to understand that first. We may order labs, we may order some imaging, get an EKG, we may do a nutrition consult, maybe do a food log, journaling, those kinds of things. And then we do a multi-system evaluation from head to toe. And so this way you don't miss anything. And again, the human body is interconnected. Every organ affects the other organ. And so you really have to look at things in a systematic way. Today, you only have time in your 10-minute visits or 15-minute visits to address 1 or 2 issues. But in primary care, it's got to be a systematic evaluation. The cardiologist, the pulmonologist, they're going to look at that particular organ, but the primary care physician is going to be looking at all the organs and seeing what all is happening to make sure that there are no drug interactions, make sure that we're not missing something. And so that's a very important piece in your overall healthcare. Number two is we start to engage, right? So we create short-term achievable goals. This is very important because this drives motivation and compliance. And then we identify and address challenges. We're human beings. I mean, to say have a low-salt diet and eat healthy, well, that means reading labels, understanding macro and micronutrients, figuring out how your meals are going to lay out throughout the day. You know, whether you're a construction worker or you're on your feet all the time, you're a healthcare worker, you know, it's not everyone can eat 2 to 3 times a day and prepare their meals, fresh cooked meals. That's not reality. So we can't make these blanket statements. And so we, at Live Active, what we'll do is weekly 30-minute visits if we have to until our patients reach their goals. This includes texting, emailing, trying to figure out what is working, what is not working, engaging with our patients, engaging with their specialists. Maybe there is an endocrinologist because it's very complicated diabetes. So we have to engage with the endocrinologist to make sure that we all are on the same page. Sometimes patients go to specialists and everything that happens during that visit just goes right over their head. And so it's not uncommon for me to reach out and re-explain what the specialist was trying to communicate. And so sometimes it just takes that other physician, the second person to kind of re-explain things in a different way. That's why it's a team game. And so specialists, primary care physicians, we all work together to make sure that you achieve your goals. And then finally, goal achievement. So then once you do achieve your goals, it doesn't stop there, right? Once you get your A1C controlled and get your heart disease stabilized or post-stroke care, then the focus becomes prevention of the next stroke, or how to get some organs to heal themselves, things like that. So we do monthly monitoring visits, ongoing support with nutrition, exercise, lifestyle changes. There might be follow-up labs, and so that's why it's a relationship. It's a partnership when it comes to primary care. It's not an urgent care visit. It's not an ER visit. That is not where chronic disease can be managed, and that's not where goals are achieved. ERs and urgent cares are for emergency, to get things quickly done, but then you return to your primary care physician after you had your tests and evaluations for that emergent situation completed, and then we put the puzzle together. All right, guys, so that is our video. This is video 5 of 7 in talking about chronic disease. These are the 7 ways to improve healthcare outcomes. We call it the 7 series. So we'll have video number 6 by next week. So God bless. Stay active in your relationships, stay active in your finances, and most importantly, please stay active with your health. God bless. Take care. Please like our videos and our channel.